Hi, Maryam. Hi, everybody. This is Addie Scoggin. And I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to answer some of your questions. I like the questions that you gave me. They're very dynamic, and I feel that there's a few things um, that need extra answers and time because they're very dynamic, very complex. So I'm going to do the best that I can to answer your questions. The first thing that you asked me was, what's the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I think about something in the Arab community? And well, I mean, to be honest, initially, the Arab community to me was frightening, different. It's something vastly different than the American culture. And so I used to be scared because this was such a foreign concept, like the head covering, the abaya and the hijab, and some things that used to come to my mind were like terrorists and untrustworthy. However, in the past 3 years, whenever I first met some of my Arabic friends, I realized that this is not the case. So now, whenever I think of the Arabic community, I think of words like religion and culture because I know that it's so rich and so um, just very in tune with religion. So um, those are some things that I think about with the Arab community. Moving on to your second question, you asked, what is the difference between us? And if there is a difference, what is it? And I think that the first answer kind of ties in with this one. And that is that um, first of all, religion. I love that the Arabic language includes words like inshallah, mashallah, bismillah, and stuff like that. And in the word, you see the word Allah, right? So in English, do you see that? No, not even a little bit. So religion is in the language, religion is in the government, religion is everywhere. And so that is a huge difference. American Western society versus Middle Eastern society. And I think that that's just so cool. In America, we like to separate government from religion. So that is an interesting concept. You asked me if I like think positively on this, and absolutely, yeah. In fact, I would love to live in the Middle East. So if you're asking me, um, someone who has several Arabic friends whose fiance is Arabic, yeah, I think positively of the Middle East, and I would love to have the opportunity to one day visit the Middle East, if not live there. So, um, it's interesting that you ask in the third question, how does the culture affect communication? Because with that, I think about the culture with women versus men, especially. So if you have like a male versus female communication, um, things are going to get a little sticky. And that's because, from my understanding, Islam really wants women to stay with women and men to stay with men. So if there's any kind of communication between the sexes, that's going to get very complicated. So with communication in that sense, yes, it's going to get difficult. However, I have seen several of my classmates whenever I graduated with my master's who were Arabic women, and they would get in groups with some American guys, and they could function. They were doing just fine. I mean, I could tell at that time that these guys were thinking, why do they wear this? And why do they have, some of them wore the niqab where they can only see the eyes. And so the American guys wanted to distance themselves to kind of give them the respect that they deserve. They didn't want to probe too much into their religion, and they didn't want to ask too many questions because they could tell that the Arabic women, had their guards up. However, I see some communication difficulties if I were to go to the Middle East because I'm very used to talking to men and I work with them every day. So if I were to go to the Middle East, perhaps I would violate some interesting dynamics with communication because for me to ask a guy a question about the market or everyday things, it's not a big deal for me. Perhaps it would be for them, especially considering regions like Saudi Arabia and so on, where you really need a male escort, right? So that's, yeah, that's very interesting. Um, but overall, do I think positively of the culture? I think it's so rich and the history is fantastic. And I hope to one day visit the mosques in Saudi Arabia and visit Iraq. And there's so much to learn. And the fact that Islam is such a prominent feature, uh, yeah, I want to learn more about it. So, um, please, if you have any questions, follow up with me. I'm very open to answer any kind of questions that you may have. Thank you.